So good morning from wherever you are. This is on a Tuesday morning, and as usual, on Tuesdays, if you've been following me on social media for some time, on Tuesdays I talk about leadership. And so today I just woke up thinking about empathy in leadership because there's an element of leadership that really great leaders have or ought to have. Now, as a leader, you are not just in charge of numbers, you're not just in charge of headcount. I know, and particularly in the corporate sector, where this is so much rampant, there is a temptation to focus on the profit, focus on the bottom line, focus on return on investments, focus on all those other measures. And in that process, some of the leaders or some of the managers in the corporate sector, also in the government setup, they may end up treating people under them as just like any other resource, actually, because they are human resources, yes. But human resources is typically, from a leadership perspective, is a special category of resources in that they have a feeling. They can feel, they can sense, they can feel the pain, they can relate to whatever is happening. They have a component of a feeling that other resources, your assets, your copyrights, your patents, and all those other things, the resources that you might be having, may not have. And therefore, when dealing with human beings at this level as a leader, you need to be empathetic. Just note that you're not in charge of head count alone. You're also in charge of heart count. So before you make that decision, whether it's to reduce the employee or what we call redundancy, whether you make a decision to put somebody on PIP, that is on matters performance, or you make a choice or a decision to fire someone on any other ground that is not gross violation of the contracts of the engagement, think twice, because the moment to put that person out of job, their family members relating or waiting on them, there are other people who are relying on that person. There is also the well-being of that person. So any decision that you make as a leader, whether in the corporate sector, in the public sector, whichever the space you are as an employer, or even at an individual capacity, if you're a leader, before making a decision, be empathetic. Ask yourself, what next for that soul? What next for that person? What will happen to them after they leave that place? Be human. Be human enough to care about them. Be human enough not only to focus on the results and outputs and outcomes and numbers and figures, as important as those are, but also to consider the lives of the people that you lead. Remember, you're dealing with human beings who have a feeling, and in as far as you call them human resources, they're not just resources. They are resources with the feelings. Let us be human enough to appreciate that fact, to be empathetic enough on in how we communicate with our staff, in how we express our anger, in how we bring out issues, we bring up issues whenever they are, in how we pursue the ends. Let's not make human beings to be just a means to achieve the ends, but let them be thought out throughout the process and deal with them like a human being or like you're dealing with human beings. And to sum it up, I sum it up with one of the commandments in the Bible that says, do unto your neighbor as you'd wish it done to you. So just do to others as you'd wish it done to you.